Hoffaday, and welcome to the Guam Judicial Center. My name is Sofia Sanchez-Diaz, and I'm the Deputy Administrator for the courts. On behalf of the Judiciary of Guam, I'd like to recognize our distinguished guests, including Acting Governor Joshua Tenorio, Speaker Therese Terlahi, members of the Guam Legislature, and the family of the late Judge Joaquin C. Perez, for your presence here this afternoon, as 3 new members of the Guam Bar Association are sworn in, and we recognize this year's winner of the Hostisia Award. I'd ask you all to please rise for the procession of judicial officers. For the Superior Court of Guam, Administrative Hearings Officer Christina L. Baird. Family Court Referee Linda L. Ingalls. Magistrate Judge Benjamin C. Cison. Judge Alberto E. Tolentino. Judge Dana A. Gutierrez. Judge Elise M. Iriarte. Judge Maria T. Senzon. Judge Vernon P. Perez. Judge Arthur R. Barcenas. Presiding Judge Alberto C. Lamarena III. For the District Court of Guam, Magistrate Judge Michael J. Berdalio. Chief Judge Francis Tidinko Gatewood. Retired Judge Superior Court of Guam Elizabeth Barrett Anderson. Retired Magistrate Judge District Court of Guam Joaquin Manabusan Jr. Retired Chief Justice Supreme Court of Guam Benjamin J. Cruz. Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the Northern Mariana Islands John A. Manglotnia. Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Northern Mariana Islands Alexandro C. Castro. Chief Judge, the District Court of the Northern Mariana Islands Ramona Manglotnia. Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Palau Appellate Division Odays Naragalau. Chief Justice, Supreme Court of the Republic of the Marshall Islands Daniel N. Kadra. Chief Justice, High Court of the Republic of the Marshall Islands, Carl B. Ingram. Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Yap, Cyprian Manma. Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Chuk, Jason Robert. Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Koshrai, Edmund Salek. Associate Justice, Supreme Court of the Federated States of Micronesia, Larry Wentworth. Acting Chief Justice, Supreme Court of the Federated States of Micronesia, Boleen Cara Warswick. Retired Chief Judge of the U.S. Coast Guard and President of the National Judicial College, Benis Z. Aldana. Chief Justice, Washington State Supreme Court, Steve C. Gonzalez. Associate Justice, Supreme Court of the Philippines, J. Midas P. Marquez. Chief Justice, Supreme Court of the Philippines, Alexander C. Hesmundo. Judge, U.S. Court of Appeals, D.C. Circuit, J. Michelle Childs. For the Supreme Court of Guam, Associate Justice Catherine Merriman, Associate Justice F. Philip Carbolito, and Chief Justice Robert J. Torres. Please be seated.
Please remain seated. The Supreme Court of Guam is now in session. The Honorable Chief Justice Robert J. Torres presiding.
Today and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on this historic occasion for us as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Court Reorganization Act, and today, importantly, to swear in 3 new members to the Guam Bar Association. I know Chief Justice Jesmundo, when they swear in tens of thousands of people at one time, is probably looking and saying, we've got 3, but 3 very capable and competent attorneys who are joining us. And I'm going to recognize Attorney John Morrison, who's going to read the candidate biographies and make the motion for admission to the court. I'm sorry. Let me ask the clerk to please call the case.
This is Supreme Court case in re the admission of the candidates to the Guam Bar. Appearing for the Guam Bar Association is Attorney John Morrison, Vice President, Guam Bar Association Board of Governors. The panel consists of Chief Justice Robert J. Torres, Associate Justice F. Philip Carbolito, and Associate Justice Catherine A. Merriman. Appearing for the Guam Bar Association.
Mr. Morrison, you're recognized.
Vice President, Guam Bar Association.
May it please the court, Chief Justice Torres, Associate Justices Carbolito and Merriman. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you three wonderful candidates for the admission to the practice of law in Guam. The candidates today are Kyra J. Bloss, Andrew J. Gunkel, and Heidi E. Simpson. Kyra Bloss is a Chamorro woman, daughter, auntie, partner, and friend, born and raised here on our island of Guahan. She received her BS in Applied Computational Mathematics and BA in Philosophy at the University of Notre Dame in 2018.
Go Irish.
Before law school, Kyra taught math classes at Teason High School and was a legal secretary at Seville and Tang. A product of the Guam High School mock trial team, she graduated from Yale Law School in 2023. Upon graduation, Kyra received the Robert L. Bernstein Fellowship in International Human Rights, funding her current work at Water Protector Legal Collective, an Indigenous-led legal nonprofit dedicated to protecting Indigenous people's rights, homelands, and waters. She looks forward to becoming a research attorney at the Guam Supreme Court this September. Having wanted to be an attorney since age 14, Kyra would not be out here without her incredible support team and all the villages that got her here. She'd like to thank her family, friends, and mentors, especially her mom, Jeannie Bloss, partner, Kevin Leosiolongi, and dear friend and longtime mentor, Leslie Travis. Adam J. Gunkel. Adam is originally from a small town, Guthrie, Oklahoma, and is the son of Bobby and Linda Gunkel. After high school, Adam joined the Army as an operating room specialist and participated in emergency surgeries from service members recently evacuated from Iraq and Afghanistan at Lundstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany. After 7 years of active duty, Adam received a Bachelor of Arts in International Relations and a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science from Hawaii Pacific University. He received his Juris Doctorate from Oklahoma City University School of Law in 2023 and earned Cali Awards in Legal Research and Writing and Corporations. Adam is a first-generation attorney and recently started working as a law clerk at Blair Sterling Johnson & Martinez, and will be an associate attorney position after swearing in. Heidi E. Simpson. Heidi earned her bachelor's in international relations and linguistics from Tulane University in New Orleans. She received her Juris Doctorate in 2021 from St. John's University School of Law in Queens, New York. She has also been admitted to practice law in New York. She relocated to Guam in 2021 and was temporarily admitted to the Guam Bar Association in 2023. Currently, she is directing attorney at Micronesia Legal Services Corporation Guam office, which provides free civil legal aid to low-income households on Guam. Justices, those are your candidates for admission.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion for admission?
No.
He didn't make it. Will you make the motion?
I would like to make the motion for admission. The Board of Law Examiners of the Supreme Court of Guam, having determined that the following candidates have successfully completed and satisfied all the qualifications necessary for admission to the Guam Bar as provided by law and the rules of the Board of Law Examiners, now therefore, I move this honorable court to admit the following candidates to the practice of law in Guam before the courts of Guam, to wit, Kyra J. Bloss, Adam J. Gunkel, and Heidi E. Simpson.
And now that the motion's been appropriately made, are there any objections to the motion as stated by Mr. Morrison?
No objection.
All right, Court finding no objection will grant the motion, and I'll now administer the oath of office to our new attorneys. I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Organic Act of Guam,
the Organic Act of Guam,
the applicable statutes of the United States,
the applicable statutes of the United States,
and the laws of Guam,
and the laws of Guam,
and that I will maintain the respect due
and that I will maintain the respect due
to the courts of justice
to the courts of justice
and judicial officers,
and judicial officers,
so that I will conduct myself honorably
that I will conduct myself honorably
as an attorney at law,
as an attorney at law,
and that I will abide by
and I will abide by
the Guam rules of professional conduct.
the Guam rules of professional conduct.
Congratulations.
I'd like to invite the newly sworn in members and the members of the Supreme Court to take a photo very quickly. Thank you. You may be seated. As we celebrate the start of these legal careers, we invite you to remain with us as we recognize a lifetime of dedication to justice. Chief Justice Torres, please come forward and speak on the Hostisia Award and this year's recipient.
Thank you, Sophia. Every year, as part of our Law Month celebration, the judiciary honors those who go above and beyond to advance the cause of justice. Those who demonstrate a deep commitment to the rule and the role of law, and those whose service has made our island a better place to be. This year's honoree embodies each of these characteristics, and you had a prelude to the work that he did from Judge Manabusan's very inspiring presentation earlier on the history of the courts. And today, we recognize his achievements and shed light on the issues he fought tirelessly for. Today, we celebrate the life of the late Honorable Joaquin Cruz Perez, the first presiding judge of the Superior Court of Guam and the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Guam. Judge Perez is remembered for many of his roles. As I mentioned, following the Court Reorganization Act, he became our first presiding judge. 3 months later, he ascended to the position of Chief Justice of our first Supreme Court. As Judge Manabusan indicated, he lost his position when the U.S. Supreme Court in Territory of Guam versus Olson affirmed the Ninth Circuit decision, striking down the U.S. Supreme Court. And it's a very interesting decision. If you haven't read it, I encourage you to go back, because the dissenting opinion was authored by Thurgood Marshall, and it's a dissenting opinion where 4 justices, Thurgood Marshall, Chief Justice Rehnquist, John Paul Stevens, and Potter Stewart joined. And you could probably maybe count on one hand when they joined together and made a dissenting opinion. But Justice Marshall talked about it being an unprecedented decision for the Supreme Court because they eliminated a democratic institution that was critical for a community and had been advanced by more than 80,000 Americans who were then living in Guam. Throughout his life, whether he served as the chief judge of the island court, a trust territory, he was also a trust territory high court judge, or a senator in the first Guam legislature, Judge Paris had a legacy that survives the years. But his legacy is much more than just those titles. In him was the vision for an independent and co-equal branch of government, a hunger for a judiciary that had its own building that reflected the growing needs of our community. He drafted the blueprint for what is now the historical courthouse, and we'll go over there to have a ribbon cutting today. And as we open the historic building, it's fitting that we recognize him for the legal architect that he was. Judge Paris did not live to see the dreams of a completely independent judiciary fulfilled, but he laid the foundation for all of us. And we're grateful to him and indebted to him for his work. So please join me in congratulating the family of the Honorable Joaquin Cruz Paris. He was a pioneer for our young justice system, and our island is a much better place because of him. And just as a short anecdote, Judge Paris has been nominated a couple times for the Hostisia Award, and it was actually the Lieutenant Governor who nominated him, and now the acting governor today, recognizing the work that Judge Paris had done. And so we're truly grateful, Lieutenant Governor, for taking the time to submit. And I think he's, especially this year, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Court Reorganization Act, recognizing our first presiding judge and first Supreme Court Justice, the Honorable Joaquin Cruz Paris. So thank you. And I'd like to now call on the family to come forward and receive the award, and also to give some remarks on their behalf. So I'd like to first, whoever from the family is going to come up. So on behalf of the Supreme Court of Guam and the Judiciary of Guam, it's with great pleasure that we present this year's 2024, and it's now spelled differently in accordance with the Commission's instructions, the Hostisia Award to the family of the late Joaquin Cruz Paris. Congratulations. Paris. And I'm not going to read the resolution, but it recognizes his dedication, his fairness, and unyielding pursuit of justice for the people of Guam.
Thank you. On behalf of the family of the late Judge Joaquin C. Paris, affectionately known to his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and also great-great-grandchildren, as Tata, thank you. Many things can be said of our grandfather's accomplishments, not just with the court, but also within the government of Guam. Many years ago, during his memorial in this building, in this room, which followed his passing, it was mentioned that he served in all three branches of government. Still today, I continue to find that fact amazing for a person to continually serve the government. He was also a God-fearing man who faithfully served his parish of Our Lady of Peace and Safe Journey in Chalampago. I still remember the moments we would help him construct an altar for the feast of the Corpus Christi, carrying things from his house across the highway to the church. This award is a testament to his character and service to the island. Truly, his service to God and to Guam is something we should all strive for. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you for those remarks, Mark, on behalf of the family. There being no further business before the court. Oh, yes, one more thing. I'm sorry. One of those days. We do have one other added event. Yeah, and we also have our guest speaker. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, but before we ask for our guest speaker to come up, there is one presentation on behalf of the Palau Judiciary that they've asked for.
You may not recognize us as our roles as judicial officers in Palau. I serve in the appellate division, and Justice Barcinas serves in the trial division. And the Chief Justice has brought with him this beautiful carving from Palau to commemorate the 50th anniversary. And the Chief Justice has told us that the story, the legend portrayed in this carving is the legend of mediation. And the mediator was a woman. Who he's not sure whether she actually ended up sacrificing her life or just giving away her Palau money to the two warring factions. But after they received the Palau money and with its value, they stopped the battle that was going on. And he's also added in the seal of the courts of Guam. So this will be one of the new additions to our Guam Museum in the other historic building. And I'll let the Chief Justice speak on behalf of the Palau Judiciary. I mean the Guam Judiciary.
On behalf of the Guam Judiciary, the Supreme Court of Guam, all of my brothers and sisters in the Superior Court of Guam, we're truly grateful, Chief Justice Odie. An amazing picture and the message of mediation and a message of really for us in Nafamaulik as well. And what a wonderful seal, having our seal on there and recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Court Reorganization Act. And as Justice Merriman said, we're going to hang this very proudly in the historical courthouse next door for all to see and share and examine the remarkable friendship that the people of Guam and the island of Palau share with each other, and the brotherhood and sisterhood that we have as part of the Pacific Judicial Council. So thank you very much. And we're so happy that you were able to join us here today. And it doesn't go in your chambers, Judge Barcinas.
Was worth the try.
That's where we say overruled and reversed. I'll now like to call the Lieutenant Governor of Guam, who will be our guest speaker. Now, today he's acting governor since the governor is still in Saipan for their 80th anniversary celebration. So please join me in welcoming the acting governor of Guam, a former employee of ours, as we like to remind Josh, remember who your bosses were. Our former court administrator and now the acting governor of Guam, Joshua Tenorio.
Today, everybody.
Fidel.
Your Honors, Chief Justice Torres, Justice Carbolito, Justice Merriman, Presiding Judge Lamorena, and the judges and judicial officers of Guam. It's such a great honor for me to be part of this celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Court Reorganization Act that really enabled the local judiciary. But first, I want to recognize the great contribution of Judge Perez. It's true, when I was the court administrator, we talked about recognizing Judge Perez for his contribution to the development of the Guam judiciary. In looking and taking a look at his life and just reflecting, in a few weeks, we're going to be celebrating the 80th anniversary of the liberation. So as you can tell, Judge Perez was clearly alive during World War II. In fact, prior to the war, he already started his public service in the court system, working as a court reporter in 1935. He taught himself the practice of law. There wasn't really, obviously, not a law school on Guam, but travel outside of Guam was very, very limited and restricted. But he had that in his inner self to stand for justice and to make sure that he did his part in his public service to help develop the government of Guam. Now, just imagine, if you will, that your island has been invaded. Your family their lives are at peril. And you're raising, or you actually you started raising a family, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, already when World War II came to Guam, Antimina, Mrs. Satori, was already born. And through that, he was able to keep his family together. He was from Hagåtña, but like nearly every resident of Hagåtña, after the liberation, the families were dispersed. They no longer had a home to return to. And he actually settled in Chalampago, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually on the property of his wife, from the Yancanco Leon Guerrero family, which is right across the street from the Chalampago Church. Now, as I understand it from my very good friend, Dr. Ann Hattori, and Mark, who, by the way, is a social worker at Department of Corrections, right, following that side. Steve Hattori is the only descendant I know of, I believe, that is actually a lawyer following in those footsteps. But as I understand it, your grandfather had a love for building things. Carpentry turns out to be one of his skills that perhaps he focused on a bit more than in his entire life than his legal and judicial career. And as Mark talked about building the altar for the Corpus Christi, I heard the same thing. But he was very involved in the church. Of course, we have two retired judges that were deacons of the church, Presiding Judge Abate and Judge Diaz, but he chose to be very close to the church that was part of his community. "32 years ago is when your grandfather left us. And I hope that you can reflect, or at least recognize, that even after 32 years, the people of Guam, the government of Guam, recognize and are so grateful for the sacrifice and dedication that he had to us, the people of Guam. I hope you know that, and I hope you recognize that this honor, which has been bestowed to him, to your family, on his behalf, is a very, very high honor, and certainly so well deserved. Now, Chief Justice, I could just now welcome and thank all of the visiting judicial officers that have traveled from throughout the world to come here to Guam. Of course, the judiciary of Guam and our judicial officers are very, very, very well integrated with their brethren throughout the U.S. affiliated islands, throughout Micronesia and all the way to American Samoa. But our chief justices have also established a very good track record working together alongside the heads of the judiciaries from the 50 states. We, of course, Guam has a very, very unique relationship and a bound history with the Republic of the Philippines. For those visiting justices and maybe for some of our people to know, at one time during Spanish colonial times, Guam was part of the Diocese of Cebu. In fact, the Spanish colonial masters or rulers decided to round up all of the best revolutionaries and imprison them here in Guam for a period of time towards the end of their colonial period. Mabini and others that were exiled here to Guam. And of course, with the Filipino people, we share a tradition of experiencing and surviving World War II. Many Filipinos came to Guam to help rebuild the island after it was destroyed by the bombings. And in each of the economic expansions that have happened, it's been Philippine labor that have been relied upon to come to help the people of Guam, the Chamorro people, to further improve their island and to expand their economies. So today, as we come together, I also want to recognize the great work of presiding Judge Lamorena, who actually built this building that we're on. Came up with a very, very innovative method of financing. I want you to know, presiding judge and chief justice, I signed a proclamation about speeding, or not to speed, but not to speed. I did tell them, the officers, that I appreciated the officers of the police department for their work along with the airport and port police officers. And I told them the court is counting on them to do their job so that they can get their share of the judicial building fund and continue their work. But I want to say on behalf of the acting lieutenant governor, Speaker Terlahi, and the rest of the government of Guam, we want to give our congratulations to the third branch of government. We recognize the excellence of the judicial officers and especially the hardworking employees of the judiciary of Guam for all the work that they do. The court is a family, the Cote family. I'm sorry that I wasn't part of that anymore, but I, of course, both the speaker and I and the rest of the elected leadership do our part to make sure that we continue to expand the effectiveness and the independence of the third branch of government. Sidus Masi.
There is no further business before the court now.
Your Honor, I'd like to invite you to close the matter.
So there being no further business before the Supreme Court of Guam, the court will now stand adjourned.
I'd like to ask the judicial officers to remain behind. All our other guests are welcome to proceed out the doors. There will be ushers to guide you to the next portion of our program.